All right, so brief exercise 4.2 is taking the same data that we just used, and it's asking us to prepare a multi-step income statement. So we're just going to reformat the data. The data is not changing. So in this case, we have sales revenue is going to be our first number, and that's still 2,106,000. We're going to subtract cost of goods sold, which is 1,204,000. I don't want a dollar sign unless it's the first number in a column. So I'm going to go ahead and fix my formatting. My sales revenue minus my cost of goods sold is my gross profit. I'm going to go ahead and fix the lines to show that I've done some math. I'm then going to take care of all my selling expenses, and I'm going to do an indented schedule like I did before. So first my selling expenses, then my general administrative expenses. Oops, sorry about that. And I'm going to calculate what my operating income are. So the way I'm going to get to operating income is by subtracting my expenses away from my gross profit. So let's do a subtotal to start with. So we have our columns lined up. My subtotal of expenses in this case are $231,000. Go ahead and put my line in so I know I did some math, and now I'm doing operating income. And again, my operating income is going to be $866,000 minus $231,000 gross profit minus my operating expenses. That's all we did here. I'm formatting a line to show that in fact I did some math. Since this is the beginning of a column, I should have a dollar sign here, so I'm going to go ahead and put that dollar sign in. So the first question says, tell me what my operating income is. Your answer's right here. It's $635,000, but I'm going to keep going with the format of the income statement. The second one says, get me the gain on the sale and interest expense and record those as my non-operating income. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I'm going to do it in the income statement format. So the gain on the sale was $45,000, and my interest expense was $35,000. So my total other income net is going to be a summation of these two. Now a gain, although I typed this wrong, let me fix that. A gain is obviously reflected as a credit, and an expense is reflected as a debit. So I need a net increase in income or a net decrease in income. In this case, it's going to be a net increase. It's going to be $45,000 minus $35,000, or $10,000 overall. My income before taxes. I did some math, so I should indicate that before I move on. Now I'm going to calculate my income before taxes, and my income before taxes are going to be what my operating income was plus my non-operating income, my other income, which is $64,000. My tax rate is, I said $64,000, I didn't mean that, $645,000. My tax rate is still $645,000 times 40%, and my net income is going to be $645,000 minus income tax expense of $258,000, and I'm going to have a net income of $387,000. Same net income, two different methods to get there in terms of presentation of data, but the calculations don't change. So the main difference on the presentation of data, while I'm doing a little bit of formatting here, is on a single step I'm recording all revenues and gains, and then I'm recording all expenses and losses. I don't care if they're from operations or not. I'm calculating my interest expense, and I'm coming down to net income. On a multi-step, I'm going through and calculating my operating income and then my non-operating income to determine my net income before taxes, again my tax expense, and I come down to net income. Problem number 2, or exercise 4.2, was actually asking you what your other net income was, so the answer to that question is really the $10, even though I reconciled the two statements. All right, hopefully you know that when you record this interest expense, you're going to do that as a debit to, you guys fill in the answer? Hopefully it's interest tax expense, so a debit to expense and a credit to, you guys can give me that answer when we're in class on Wednesday.